Hey everyone, Janessa here from the blog almostheavenhomesteading.com, and today I want to show you how to make a simple bread bowl cover, which is not only practical but also adds a little bit of beauty to your bowl of dough rising on the counter. Begin by gathering all of your supplies. You will need your outer fabric of choice. I like to use 100% cotton. You'll need an inner piece of fabric, just a plain piece of muslin works well for this. Then you'll also need all-purpose thread, 1/4 inch elastic, scissors, straight pins, pencil, measuring tape, and safety pins. And of course you'll need a sewing machine and bobbins, as well as an iron and ironing board. To begin your project, begin by washing and drying your fabric and ironing out any of the wrinkles. You'll want to do this to both the outer piece and the inner piece of fabric. Next, layer your two pieces of fabric together with the muslin piece on top. Now go ahead and place your bowl on top of both of those pieces of fabric. Now you'll want to start making little marks 3 inches away from the rim of the bowl. I like to do this in each of the 4 quarters to begin with, and then go around and fill in some more dots until I can trace the dots to make a circle. It's helpful to pin the 2 pieces of fabric together just so everything stays nice and neat while you're working. Your circle honestly does not have to be perfect. We're going to be adding elastic to the edge of this bread bowl cover anyway, so don't worry if it's 100% perfect. Now I'm just going to add a couple more pins to keep everything nice and neat, and go ahead and cut around my circle. Make sure that your 2 pieces of fabric are right sides together when you're cutting. Now it's time to sew the 2 pieces of fabric together. Keep your seam allowance pretty minimal, about 3/8 of an inch, and sew almost all the way around the edge of the fabric. You'll want to keep about a 2-inch opening instead of joining the seams all the way around. Okay, now that you're finished with that first seam, go ahead and remove all of the pins and turn your work through that 2-inch opening that you left. After turning, make sure that none of the fabric is still bunched up around the edges, and go ahead and go back over to your iron and ironing board and iron this all out nice and flat. Alright, at this point we're going to add another seam about an inch in from what is now the edge of the bread bowl cover. This seam you can go ahead and join all the way, you do not need to leave that gap. Now you'll want to go ahead and feed your elastic through those two seams, through that 2-inch gap that you had left from the initial seam. This can be a little bit time consuming, but to make it easier, you can attach a safety pin to the end of the elastic, which makes it much simpler to feed through these two seams. Once the elastic is fed all the way through, go ahead and place it over your bowl just to measure how tight you want it to be. Once the elastic is as tight as you want it to be, go ahead and cut it and sew the two pieces of elastic together. This can be a little tricky as well, and you could also just tie the elastic in a really tight knot and tuck it up in the two seams. Once the elastic is all tucked into those two seams, you'll just want to close that 2-inch gap that you left from your initial seam. Just go ahead and sew this as close to the edge of the fabric as possible. And of course, make sure that the raw edges are all tucked in before closing that seam. Finally, just go ahead and make sure that the elastic is evenly distributed throughout the edge of the bread bowl cover, and you are done. Alright, well I hope you all enjoyed this simple little tutorial. Let me know if you decide to make your own in the comments below.